Hey guys, so we have the Part 2 LR information for JP Dokkan's 7th Gear Anniversary units. These units will appear on the top Legendary Summon banner, which I believe should probably be going live at some point within the next day or two. So the Twitter did tweet these guys out. We had a video drop that was showing off some of the stuff for them, but it's like, if they're going to drop this like right afterwards, it's not like that big of a deal, I don't think, but whatever. Here we go. So number one, we have Kaioken Goku from the Saiyan Saga, and then number two, we have Great Ape Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga. So interesting that they decided to go with the Saiyan Saga theme for part 2. Obviously, the theme of the entire anniversary so far has been, Goku and Vegeta's sort of, I guess, cooperation and rivalry. It's sort of like the relationship between those two characters. It's funny because that's pretty much been the theme of every anniversary. Every anniversary is just Goku and Vegeta, right? Before we even jump into this, let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on the fact that they're going with the Saiyan Saga for part 2 here. It's kind of disappointing to me that they're going with Saiyan Saga as like not their own celebration, because I feel like this fight, the Kaioken ×4 Kamehameha from Goku and then the Galick Gun from Vegeta, as well as the Great Ape stuff, that completely deserves to be, in my opinion, their own like big celebration. That's, it encompasses other parts of the Saiyan Saga, like the Raditz fight. We don't have a good Special Beam Cannon Piccolo. We don't have a good like Raditz fight Goku. There's a lot they could do with the Saiyan Saga, and it seems like for the past few years almost at this point, they've been slowly drip feeding us Saiyan Saga characters all in different celebrations. So what that tells me is that they never really had any intention of dropping a solely focused Saiyan Saga celebration, which is very strange, because this is like one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best sagas in Dragon Ball. But I still am very excited for these units because they look very, very cool. The animations are insane, yeah, finally getting some more Saiyan Saga representation in the game is always a plus for me. So Goku's here. Stats are looking pretty solid. Keep in mind that STR units do get 5,400 extra attack at Rainbow and 4,600 defense at Rainbow. So he's going to be sitting at pretty close to 22,000 attack and approaching 15,000 defense here. Like, what is that, like 14,700 defense at Rainbow? He's going to be pretty insane, just stat-wise. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into Goku right away here. This is the Goku Kaioken Battle with One's Limits. Leader skill is the All-Out Struggle or Final Trump card, categories Ki +4 and HP attack and defense plus 150%. I will say that now that we have the 7th year anniversary Dual Dokkan Fest units that introduced the 200% category leader skills, we're sort of back at square one with these gold coin LRs, because the biggest issue that I think these gold coin LRs had was they used to be 130% leaders, and it's like, okay, why would you run a 130% leader when you could just throw on like a main, Dokkan Fest category lead and get 170%? Well, they're like, okay, we recognize that that's an issue, so we're going to bump this up, the gold coin LR's leader skills. The past few that we've gotten have 150% leader skills, right? So God Goku and Hit have 150, LR Janemba has 150, and now Future Gohan and Trunks have 150. And now these two have 150 as well. So they bumped their leader skills up to 150, but then they just bumped up the Dokkan Fest leader skills to 200. So we're kind of back at square one here, where these leader skills just, 150 at this point, in the hardest content in the game, which is the red zone, doesn't really feel like it's going to cut it anymore. So I would have liked to see the leader skills be a little bit better. Maybe, they could keep it at 150, but then they could have just added a sub leader skill. Like, okay, so this is All-Out Struggle or Final Trump card, categories Ki +4, HP attack and defense 150. Maybe they could have added something like Goku's family. If you have a character that's also in the Goku's family category, they get an additional 30% stats. That would have at least made it 180 for those characters to make this leader skill a little bit more appealing, but as it stands right now, I'm not really a huge fan of how they did that. So the super attack effects. The 12th key is the Kaioken attack, raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage. So they actually did keep mega colossal, that multiplier, on the 12th key super attack effect, which is nice. That's sort of what the 350 million download celebration units had, and that's why you can see the massive difference in the damage that they're dealing with their 12 key super attacks as compared to with many other units. 18 key is the 4 times Kaioken Kamehameha, massively raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage while sustaining 4% of HP as damage. 4%, not really a huge deal. I'm not really that upset about that, because you are getting a really, really powerful effect. You're getting a massive raise. That is a 100% raise to attack and defense for 1 turn. and still being Mega Colossal is always good. But that is the iconic, 4x Kamehameha scene that we've been waiting for a very, very long time for them to actually do with good animations. This character does have an entry animation. It's sort of like the iconic scene where where Goku, says like, "Oh, extremely hard work might allow even a weakling to surpass an elite," and then he does like the battle stance or whatever. And Vegeta obviously does the same thing. But here's the catch with this. So the passive is Power Amplification Technique. Performs an entry animation once only, and he gains Ki +3 and attack +70% for the rest of the battle if there is an enemy whose name includes Vegeta. So he's only going to be getting that buff, and he's only going to be doing the entry animation, granted that there is an enemy whose name includes Vegeta. So we are starting to see that they are restricting, in some ways, these entry animations, which I don't know. I feel like, because what they're doing is they're tying that to a buff that he's getting. What I would prefer that they do is I would prefer that they separate the buffs and the animations from one another. Like, that's the good thing about the Super Saiyan 4s and the Gods. Like, they don't have an entry animation restriction. They just do their entry animation every single time on turn 1. What if I want to see this entry animation every time I want to use this unit? I don't want to have to wait until I'm fighting a Vegeta to use this. I want to just see this every time. So I think what they could have done is they could have had the entry animation be, activating every time you enter the battle, but then the buff would be conditional upon you fighting a Vegeta. I don't think they needed to have the animation be conditional. I don't know. That's my nitpick there. Then he gets an additional attack and defense plus 100% at the start of battle, just standard baseline effect. He gains 7 Ki for 7 turns from first appearance. That is a lot. That's a lot of Ki. So if you get the entry animation activated, you're actually going to be starting turn 1 with 10 Ki. 10 additional Ki. That's pretty insane. Then he gets an additional attack and defense plus 59% when performing a super attack. And if you're doing an ultra super attack, he gets another 59% attack. So this guy's going to be hitting very, very hard because of the way that those additional buffs are calculated there. Plus, remember, he's also massively raising his attack and defense for one turn on super. Then he also is randomly changing a type of key sphere other than STR to STR key spheres. So if you don't have the entry animation activated, I mean, you're still getting 7 Ki from his passive, which is ridiculous anyway. But if you still are struggling for Ki somehow, then you also do have the orb changing there to help out. So the game is basically force-feeding you 18 Ki super attack on this character. And then at the end there, they tacked on a high chance to perform a critical hit. So that is a 50% chance. So with that 50% chance built in, I would definitely say that it is more attractive to build this guy with additionals, which is kind of unfortunate because he is STR, so you're kind of forced to take that built-in 5 crit, but remember, he is also raising his attack and defense by 30% on the 12 Ki super attack effects. That also can help, with the extra defense that you're getting from that, with the additionals, so... pretty powerful passive. I mean, he's going to be doing a ton of damage. The only thing, again, I would say that I'm not a huge fan of is the condition that the cosmetic entry animation is restricted. But if you do fight a Vegeta with this unit, I mean, he's going to be pretty insane. It's just an extra Ki +3 and 70% attack for the rest of the fight. You also just have an active skill, the Spirit Bomb. This is like the one-handed, quote-unquote, Spirit Bomb that Goku did against Great Ape Vegeta, or not Great Ape Vegeta, but base form Vegeta after the Great Ape form was over. This is the one where he was, he gave it to Krillin to throw, Vegeta dodged it, and then Gohan deflected it. So I also want to hear what you guys have to think about this, because I know a lot of people wanted this as a separate unit. Would have been really cool as like a unit super attack effect to have this active, but they definitely did a really good job with the animation here being the active skill, because they could voice it, right? So what this does is you can use this when HP is 59% or below, which is actually a really good condition. No turn restriction, which means that if you're going into Super Battle Road and you just enter a fight below 59% HP, you can just straight up use it turn 1 if you want to. That's really good. So it temporarily greatly raises attack and causes ultimate damage and stuns the enemy for 1 turn. So guaranteed stun for 1 turn is really good. And I imagine this will do a lot of damage, but probably not going to be doing like massive amounts of damage, just because of the fact that this character gets the majority of their attack from super attack activation, right? He gains 2 instances of 59% attack from performing an ultra super attack. So his start of turn attack buff, which is what was used to calculate the active skill damage is only going to be 100%, unless you also have the entry animation activated. So I actually don't expect this to hit that hard, but at the very least, you do have a 50% chance for this to crit as well. Keep that in mind. So if it does crit, probably will hit very hard anyway. Links are Kamehameha, Saiyan Lineage, Over in a Flash, Z Fighters, Shocking Speed, Shattering the Limit, and Legendary Power. So the thing with these units, both of them, is that they don't have Fierce Battle. They have Shattering the Limit, which is another sort of like downside of them not having a dedicated Saiyan Saga celebration, because there's no Dokkan event. There's no Saiyan Saga Dokkan event for these guys to get medals from. So that's why they have Shattering the Limit. But overall, very good link set. Kamehameha is really common. Saiyan Lineage is like one of the most common key links in the game. Over to Flash is not as common, but definitely still good. Z Fighters is Shocking Speed very good. Legendary Power very good. Shattering the Limit is kind of, you know, I would say not as common anymore as it used to be. But link set's pretty decent. Categories is an all-out struggle, Final Trump Card, Pure Saiyans, Full Power, Goku's Family, Turtle School, Bond of Friendship, Accelerated Battle, Faded Battle, and Kamehameha. So overall, very, very powerful character there. Let's move on to Vegeta next, and as you can see, he does have a Great Ape, or Giant Ape, however you want to call it, transformation here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he does. So this is Vegeta Giant Ape, Rage's final measures. Leader skill is the Inhuman Deeds or Giant Ape Power. Categories Ki +4 and HP attack and defense plus 150%. Same sort of spiel that I made with Goku's. I wish they would have added like an extra condition to this to maybe make it a little bit stronger, because at this point, we were comparing 130 to 170, now we're comparing 150 to 200, and it's just like, it's just as underwhelming. So the super attack 12 Ki is going to be the final bullet attack. Raises attack for 1 turn and causes colossal damage, nothing crazy. And then the 18 Ki is Super Explosive Wave. This causes mega colossal damage to all enemies. I believe this is the first instance where we ever got an AoE that has mega colossal damage. Because if you guys remember, LR Majin Vegeta, he does his 18 Ki super attack as an AoE, but that's only colossal damage. We have Vegeta and Nappa, their AoE is their 12 Ki super attack, which is just colossal damage. And LR Broly's is also his 12 Ki, which does colossal damage. So again, I think, unless I'm misremembering something or I'm just forgetting a unit, I think this is the first instance where an 18 Ki super attack with mega colossal damage is an AoE. So that's definitely good to see there. Again, this Vegeta has an entry animation similar to Goku's. His is a little bit weaker. Instead of giving 70% attack, they gave him 60% attack, but I guess it makes sense because you're way, way more likely to be fighting a Goku enemy than a Vegeta enemy in this game. There's just a lot more Gokus than Vegetas. So I think in terms of actual uptime on that animation and on that buff, Vegeta's will be higher. And I honestly think even though this is a weaker value than Goku has, this is going to be active more of the time, again, because there's just more Goku enemies. So he gets Ki +3 and attack and defense plus 100% start of turn. So they actually went ahead and gave him a 3 Ki buff at the start of turn there. Then he gains an additional attack and defense plus 60% when performing a super attack. And then he gains an additional defense plus 60% when performing an ultra super attack. So he's going to have a lot of defense, right? So he's starting at 100%, and then he's getting 2 separate instances of 60% defense on super. And then on top of that, he is guarding. Guard activated against all attacks, and then he gains an additional Ki +3 and 30% attack for the turn once guard is activated. Keep in mind that is only for that turn. So for instance, we had the Easy A STR God Vegeta come out. He has a similar ability where whenever he gets hit, he will have a 77% attack and defense buff for 3 turns. This is literally only for that 1 turn. So kind of annoying that he has to get hit first every single turn, but at least he does have guard permanently, which is very powerful. You guys know how powerful guard is like that, right? His active skill is the Giant Ape Transformation, and he's able to use that when HP is 40% or below. So 40% is a little bit annoying, I would say. I don't know why they didn't just give him 60% or below, just to make it easier to get. Because I don't know if this Giant Ape Transformation is really going to be like blowing anything away like instant. It's not going to be like some ridiculous ability. But 40% is tough to aim for, right? It kind of reminds me a little bit of LR Int Cell, where he has to be below 30%. Now that's absurd. 30% is ridiculous, but 40% is not honestly that much better. I guess you can try and aim for it, but if you try and aim for this, there's a pretty decent chance you might just straight up die. So I would have liked to see this below 60% HP, so I'm a little bit disappointed there, but it is what it is. It still should be a cool active skill. So transforms into a giant ape, and we'll go ahead and just skip to the end there now to take a look at what his giant ape form does. So 12 key just causes destructive damage. That is the multiplier that all giant transformations have. And the 18 key is the Super Gallic Blaster, and he temporarily greatly raises his attack and causes destructive damage. And the interesting thing about this Vegeta is his passive gives him 5 key to start out with, so you won't need to get that much key to super. In fact, what that means is he's getting a guaranteed super attack. Assuming you're on a double 3 key leader skill, which you pretty much have to be if you want to play the game. But if you're under his own leader skill, he's starting the turn at 8 key. So if you actually go into a giant ape under his own leader skill, let's say you're running double Vegeta giant ape, right, as leaders, he's actually starting the turn at 13 key, which is pretty good. So there's the giant ape form, and that is basically just a rage mode mechanic because he's immune to damage. And I would just think of it like LR Rose Goku Black's active skill, like LR Janemba's active skill, not LR, but STR Namek Goku's active skill. So that's sort of the same formula they've been going with for that. Links are Saiyan Warrior Race, Royal Lineage, over 9,000, Giant Transformation, Saiyan Roar, Shattering the Limit, and Legendary Power. I have to say I'm not really a huge fan of this link set. I think they could have... they really gave him over 9,000. But then again, I guess that's the reason why they ended up giving him the 3 key from his passive at the start of turn, and then the additional 3 key from when guard is activated, right? So he's actually getting 6 key, assuming that you're getting hit first in the turn. That's a lot. That does make a big difference. So when you're using this Vegeta, keep in mind you only need to get 15 key to get his Ultra Super attack, assuming you're getting hit first. So that is something to keep in mind when you're using this character. But I'm not really a huge fan of these links. I mean, Saiyan Roar can work with like the GT characters if you're using them on the same team as them. Legendary Power is good. Royal Lineage can be okay, but then like, and Saiyan Warrior Race is good too, but like over 9,000, Giant Transformation. I mean, they had to give him Giant Transformation just because he's a Giant Transformation character. And then Shattering the Limit is also not great. So it is what it is. Categories are look how many categories he's on, by the way. Inhuman Deeds, Giant Ape Power, Pure Saiyans, Dragon Ball Seekers, Vegeta's Family, Terrifying Conquerors, Space Traveling Warriors, Gifted Warriors, Planetary Destruction, Accelerated Battle, Faded Battle, Giant Transformation, and Final Trump Card. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 categories. That is a lot. And not only are those a lot of categories, but there's a lot of categories in there that really do need the help, right? I mean, Giant Transformation. Could definitely use the extra help there. Dragon Ball Seekers definitely could use the help there. Giant Ape Power, a team that doesn't really get many buffs, right? Inhuman Deeds. This is the first real Inhuman Deeds leader. Up until this point, Vegeta and Nappa were the only like actual runnable leader for this team. So it's good that they finally got that extra leader there. So like all these teams that just are very small and don't really get upgrades that often, this guy's going to help them out a lot. So that is Vegeta and Goku. Let me know down below which one you guys are more excited for. I think they're both really, really cool. You guys can go watch the animations on the official Twitter account, but they did a really good job with those. I wish they would have had their own celebration, man. That's at the end of the day what I'm going to walk away from this thinking. Saiyan Saga, forever shafted, but at least during the anniversary, they're giving these characters what they deserve, which is definitely good to see. Very cool units, very, very good units. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.